Hello everyone, this is CounterYolo, bringing you another video talking about Star Trek Online. And in today's video, due to what happened in the past week, I'm going to go over video game bugs in Star Trek Online. In this video, I'll talk about my personal rant first off about game bugs in general, and then I'll go into what to include in bug reports and where to report bugs in Star Trek Online. Feel free to skip to the different time links in the video description in case there's parts of this that you don't want to listen to. So first off, let's talk about bugs in general. So first off, bugs are problems in the source code of a game. They are not the problems that players are actually experiencing. Bugs are the issues in the source code that are causing those issues that players are experiencing. As thus, if you just constantly complain about those issues that you're having, that doesn't actually solve the bug problem. All that does is that it just causes a lot of frustration that other players start to feel, as well as more players are mad about what's going on. The way that you help with this is that you give the developers as much information as possible about what's going on during the issue so that they can look through their source code and try to find the bug in their code that's causing that to occur. Most of their effort is done in trying to find the bug, not in fixing it. Once they know exactly what's causing an issue to occur inside the game, they can easily fix that bug. And now when these bugs occur, they have a few options. They can either do nothing, if it's something that doesn't really affect a lot of the player base or doesn't stop missions. My best example here is the Stranded in Space mission, in that you have a science optional objective, which the only problem is that the objective is not completing. You're able to still heal the people. You're still able to complete the rest of the mission. You just don't get that optional objective completed. Because of that, it's definitely reasonable that is not a very high priority thing to fix inside of their game code. Your second option is, well, if we actually do have a problem and it's game breaking, let's fix the bug. And this can be done if they're able to find that bug and fix it. Most prominent is the first slide in this presentation, which was in a lot of the beta, whenever this game was starting, there were people that were beaming into ground, and it was their ship model that was appearing instead of their captain. That's a pretty big issue. Ground combat should be as your captain, not as your starship. Especially when your starship is scaled down to the size of a captain. But anyway, they're able to fix that eventually. The third thing is, well, if there's something that's super game breaking and they can't fix the bug, then they should just remove the content until they can fix it, and then they can put it back in, or they can just remove the content permanently from the game. And this is what happened with the Arena of Sompek, and that we had a lot of enemy waves that just randomly did not spawn, would stop the progression of the operation, many times would stop the operation from being completed. Is that game breaking? Of course it is. So what they did is they tried their best. They spent a full workday trying to fix the issue, and they couldn't. They couldn't find the bug in their code that was causing that issue in terms of enemy waves not spawning at their certain points. As thus, they removed the content because they couldn't find the issue, which, considering everything, is a completely reasonable response. Now, yes, we as players like because there was advertised about this event coming. So a lot of us were looking forward to it. I had a couple of ground builds prepped for the event that I was hoping to get to at least around 60 this time. Not being able to get there is a little disappointing, but I am sympathetic and I understand the situation, and I'm okay with it. Now, when we talk about reporting bugs, helping the developers to fix bugs quicker, here are things that is, for my personal rule of thumb, are things to include in bug reports. First off, include the time the error occurred, whether that's actual game time when it occurred or your own local time with, like, in parentheses, whatever that time is, well, whatever your UTC time zone is. Preferably to the minute of whenever the bug or issue occurred. If not within about 5 minutes, they can still look through the logs to find the bug so they can try to help with replicating the bug on their testing server. Also include your captain and his or her @handle, along with your captain's faction, profession, race, gender, and allegiance whenever applicable. Around the Republic and Dominion captains will need their allegiance as well, just because that helps with figuring things out, because it could be an allegiance issue that's causing the coding bug for that error to occur. And then outside of those things, as many other details that you could possibly say of what's going on, so that it's much easier for them to replicate. The more information that you give them, the more likely and the easier it is for the developers to search for the issue in their code to fix it. Simple as that. Now, when it comes to reporting bugs in Star Trek Online, there's 3 different ways to do so, and I'm just going to rank these by my opinion, how easy they are to use, and how effective they are overall in fixing those bugs. The first one is the one that ArcGames recommends you to use, which I feel is the most ineffective of all of them, which is the in-game reporting method. It's fairly easy to use. It's very low in its overall effectiveness to actually fix the game. The reason for this, now I'm not saying don't do this. The reason why I'm saying this doesn't really work as well is because all that this does is it helps give the developers, okay, we have all these gigantic amount of bugs happening. Here's the ones that are being reported most often by players. From there, they just judge, okay, from there, is a game breaker or not, or is it bugging the players a lot? Honestly, this is just a simple, basically just a number count. It's how a lot of, for my impression of the game, of how Star Trek Online treats these types of reports. That is, it's a lot more of like a placebo effect for a lot of players. So like, yes, I reported a bug, I've vented out my frustration, I'm happy now, and I'm moving on. There's definitely, I think that they should respond to these a little bit more often, but that's just me personally. Also, the other thing about that gives me a red flag is that also there's just a way to report bugs. They published this back in 2012. I looked through their history. They last updated this in 2016, which is really when they updated the UI stuff inside the game for this gameplay bug page. They haven't really adjusted everything else on here much at all. There are a lot better ways to report bugs, and the next slide will show you a bunch more as well, which is social media. Social media is a lot more effective because it's not just that you have a problem, but it's a problem that if there's a lot of clamor on social media, it means that it's not just a numbers issue. It's also that your player base is really upset about something. When it comes to public eyes and things, public clamor has a very heavy weight still. So even though it might not have the most numerical number, if you have enough passionate people saying, here's the biggest problems about Star Trek Online, please fix them, that's more likely that they will fix them. Especially if you address it directly to Ambassador Kale, who's the community manager. He's starting to get more and more weight in terms of being able to have certain things happening inside the game. And he's able to voice those to the correct people to have things start to be fixed and to have new content coming to the game. So yeah, here's all the different places that I found that can help with that, including the Arc forums, the Reddit forums, which I feel are a bit better than the Arc forums actually, sadly, as well as directly on social media itself with Twitter, Facebook, the 10-4 weekly streams that occur once a week, typically from Ambassador Kale himself. He goes on FaceTime for an hour or two directly with us, interacts with us on Twitch and YouTube, and talks about different stuff going on inside the game. Their policy initially on 10.4 Weekly was that they didn't discuss upcoming content. Now the policy is that they don't discuss unannounced content. Like, for instance, we already know that there's a Fakiri ship coming out for for the winter event. We know that we already know the titles and certain plot lines for what the next couple of missions are going to be inside Star Trek Online. There's lots of that's already been announced that, who knows, I might cover in another video. I'm not really sure there, but they've announced a lot of stuff, especially with that timeline, which I was going to talk about today, but this is a lot more important. So yeah, there's a lot of different things to do, a lot of different places to go. All of these I feel are more effective than the in-game reporting, just because this gives a lot more weight to your bug report itself. But that's just me personally. The last one is making a ticket on the Cryptic website. This is the one that takes the most effort to do, because it's not just making the ticket, it's also constantly responding back to the ticket, because otherwise they assume that the problem's been resolved and then they just ignore the ticket altogether. They respond to you within 24 hours if you have a direct problem with revenue generation on their end. So for instance, if you are buying stuff with Zen from the C-store, if you're trying to get stuff off the exchange and are having issues, if you're opening a lockbox and nothing is there besides lobby, those are serious issues. And of course, since they want to continue making money, if there's any problems with their revenue generation, they're going to respond to that like ASAP. It's also the reason why when a while ago with Age of Discovery, when that launched, that there was a day or so whenever the exchange had no pricing on the items there. That's a gigantic issue. And there's people that left the game over. And so they had a patch the next day fixing that issue. So outside of that, it's still fairly effective if you're willing to put in the time to constantly respond to their questions. Because typically with those questions, you will have a GM directly respond to you. Now, if it's not a money question, then it might take about a week or so for them to get to you. And then it's typically within 48 hours that they respond back to you with whatever question that you have. Yeah, that's just with my personal experience inside the game. In terms of actually getting to that spot itself, if you go to the Arc website and log in, you go to the support tab and then go over to the contact support and then submit a ticket. You'll have this little form pop up here, and then you fill in and then continue and submit. After that point, you'll need to go to ticket history, like basically every 48 hours at least, to make sure that the check on whether the ticket has had a reply to it. Sometimes they try to just bypass your ticket and say, hey, we haven't heard anything from you for a while, so we're assuming the ticket's solved. Respond back to them and say, nope, the ticket's not resolved, you need to talk to me, and then they'll actually talk to you whenever it's a question that's not a money question. And then when they realize they can't ignore you, then they talk to you. If it's a money question, then they'll immediately go and talk to you. But yeah, that's my basic experience with this. I would say for most of your issues inside the game, social media is going to be a better option. But this is also an issue if you want a ton of one-on-one talking with stuff in Star Trek Online support inside the game. Anyway, there's some options for you for solving bugs and things inside the game. Hopefully those things were helpful for you all inside of this all. Hopefully we have less bugs like we did with Arena of Sompek, but bugs are fairly common inside of video games. It's not something that should be unheard of or unexpected, especially because, I'm just going to say this little rant here as well, in the roadmap, the roadmap just shows the upcoming content of things that are going to be happening inside the game. They are also doing a lot of stuff with the older content, updating cinematics, updating a lot of the code there, which could be causing some of the problems that like Arena of Sompek is experiencing. Just saying, there are a lot of things involved in terms of why certain bugs are creeping up now inside of the game, and it's basically, my opinion, because they're partially rewriting a lot of the code inside the game right now, trying to update it and make it better. So there are going to be some hiccups along the way, but I feel that overall it's going to make the game better overall in the end. Anyway, those are my rants for now. Thank you all for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.